From Tokyo One Way Yokoso. Welcome to my channel. Today in this video I'm going to talk about funerals in Japan. Why I've chosen this argument? Because to me going to a funeral was a stressing and shocking experience. I'm not a Buddhist and I didn't know anything of what I should have done attending the funeral. So, first of all, you have to prepare a kodenbukuro, and regarding this matter, please watch my previous video. The dressing code should be a black suit, black tie, white shirt for men, and for women a suit or also trousers or a dress not too revealing, also in black. When you attend the funeral, you will be told which time to reach the funeral home. You enter, you go to the reception desk where you are going to give the kodenbukuro, and then you are going to access the hall where there is an open casket, and on the rear there will be a very beautiful flower arrangement, and at the center a big picture of the deceased. You will queue in line with the other persons attending the funeral to reach the front, where you will look directly at the open casket, and there is a table where the incense sticks are put. So usually if there are many persons, there will be the queue will be in two lines, and when your turns arrive, you will first bow towards the open casket, then you will bow towards the family, who usually is sit on the right side. Then you will lit the incense, and then you will make your prayer. And one thing I've forgotten, sorry, you should also bring juzu sorry, which is a string of bead. So sorry, this will be a little bit disrespectful because it's where I should, sorry, it's like this, but they are big beads, and you should put them like this I don't know if you can see it, and hold it in your hand when you pray. So you have to have your thumbs inside and you pray. This string of beads, sorry, are called juzu. So they sell also in the Yakuen shop. You should bring one of these. Then you will get to your seat, and the religious ceremony take place, and when it's over, at the funeral home they have a different hall where you will move and have something to eat with all the other persons attending the funeral. Now, of course, you can always look at what the other persons are doing, and I suggest you to look at what the other person in the line are doing, because in Japan, sorry, let's say that 90% of the population is Buddhist, but Buddhism in Japan has many sects, and within these sects there are other sects, sorry. And so, for example, depending on the sects, the number of incense sticks that you have to burn, or the times you have to burn the incense sticks, could vary. So I suggest you to take a good look, or to ask someone what you should do. Now, this was my first experience with a Japanese funeral. The second experience I had, and it was when my mother-in-law passed away. So here the matter changed completely, because you are part of the family. I'm not Buddhist. I don't know anything about Buddhism, and my husband didn't advise me about anything. So, as my husband has one sister and one brother, and we all live in different prefectures, when his mother, my mother-in-law, passed away, we all came together, and also the relatives are all over Japan, Hokkaido, Kyushu, and when we arrived at my father's-in-law house, my mother-in-law was laying in front of the Butsudan at home. The Butsudan is the family altar. By the way, she passed away in the hospital, and she was moved from the hospital to the house, where we paid our first respect, and then we moved to the funeral house. When we arrived at the funeral house, they brought us to a room where her body was washed, then clothed and prepared. And this was the first little shock, because I wasn't prepared. I didn't know this habit that you have to attend at the bathing and the clothing. If you wish, you could help the mortician to wash the body, but I didn't offer because I saw that the other members of the family said no, it's okay. So me too, I said no, it's okay. Then the gasket, which is an open gasket, and it's very simple, it's wooden, very simple, uh, is moved to the hall where the religious ceremony take place. This is called tsuya, which means vigil. So this is the first religious ceremony, and friends, relatives, uh, co-workers, etc. Participate to this function. So the next day there was the formal funeral, or honso. If you don't have time, or you have something going on and it's impossible for you to take part to the honso, you can attend only to the tsuya. But between tsuya and honso, which by the way you should attend both, the most important is the honsho. Honso. And after the Otsuya ceremony, religious ceremony finished, everyone went home, and only the family stayed at the funeral home. So my husband and I were told to sleep there at the funeral home, in the room where they washed the body. And I didn't know anything about funerals, so I told my husband, but I don't feel like sleeping here, and I find it a sort of disrespectful, sorry, and also the thought that many people has been washed in that room, it made me uncomfortable. And my husband, who didn't know who nothing about funerals, said, okay, we go to an hotel, we sleep at the hotel, and we come back. When we came back the next morning, we discovered that we were supposed to stay in that room because the gasket was placed again in that room from the hall where the ceremony was held. It was put again in that hall, from the hall to that room, and we had to make the vigil, which means that we had to take care of the candles and the incense so that they will never stop burning. And that was really embarrassing, because it seemed that we didn't want to do it. But in reality, we were supposed to do it. And we have been told that my husband's sister slept there and she took care of these things. Another thing that I forgot to mention is that in Japan, the first son has to take care of all the funeral, the arrangements, communicating the death and everything. And in Japan also, it is custom that the eldest son will take care of the parents when they get old. So my husband is not the first son, so his brother arranged everything. So in the morning there was the honso, which is the formal funeral. In this case, as the other funeral, you do the line, you lit the incense, and then all the other person attending will do the same. And then there are some sutra, the religious ceremony, etc. And then the family is moved to the crematorium. And that's the part that I'm sorry to say, but I wasn't prepared of, and it shocked me a little bit. At the crematorium, before leaving the hall to go to the crematorium, usually they put all these beautiful flowers that were arranged on the back of the wall, on the back of the casket on the wall, are put inside the casket, and the coffin, the casket, and then you put inside the casket something that the deceased person loved. And for example, my mother-in-law loved chocolate, so some chocolate would have been put inside, flowers, letters, pictures, and so on. Then we moved to the crematorium. At the crematorium, they put the casket and the body inside the furnace, and of course we had to wait our turn, and then we waited. They have some rooms where you can sit and chat and maybe drink some tea or some coffee. They have the smoking area, and when the cremation was finished, we have been called to a different room, and when we entered, there was the burnt remains of my mother-in-law on this table, and you are supposed to take the bones with big the hashi chopsticks, and put it on a kind of tray, where then the mortician then transferred these bones inside the urn. And this is called Okotsuhiroi. I've never seen a cremated body, and I remember when I was a kid, our parents never brought us to a funeral, and the funeral for us Catholic is always a sad experience, and also the open casket could be quite traumatic for a child. So they never brought to a funeral until we were a little bit older to understand. And I've seen my nephews coming inside, taking the bones, and they were so calm, so relaxed, and it made me understand how the death is perceived in a different way in Japan. I didn't see people crying or making some fainting, or as I've seen in Italy. It was a very calm funeral. So they pick these bones, and they take also the Adam's apple, because it's called Nodo Botoke, because this bone, if you look at it, it has the shape of a sitting Buddha. Then they put the remaining bones in two urns, and these urns were given to my fathers-in-law. Then we got back to the funeral home, and the person then left and went home. Then in the evening we had another ceremony, which was called Shonanoka, and that's why it was done, because all of us were coming from different parts of Japan, and usually this ceremony is held 7 days after the formal funeral. As it was impossible for all of us to come back after 7 days, we made also this ceremony. So to make this video, I asked for some information to a good friend of mine, who has been very patient, explaining me different things that I didn't grasp during the funeral. And he told me that my parents-in-law and my husband are from the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist sect, which is among 50 50% of Buddhists in Japan are from this sect, and this sect has other sects within it. So after 1 year from the death of the person, there is another ceremony which is called no okotsu or okotsu osameru, and it's when these urns are put into the family tomb, and the other one was put at the family's temple. So this sect has a person who started the sect, and each of these persons who started the sects within the Jodo Shinshu has a reference temple. So the other urn was put in Kyoto, in this particular temple. So this video is very long, but I hope that it could be of some utility to some of you who could go through this kind of experience, so that you will be a little bit prepared. And the last things I want to say are two phrases that are used when you want to offer the condolences to the family. One is Konotabi makoto ni goshusho-sama desu, which means I'm deeply sorry for your loss, and the other one is Okuyami o moshiagemasu, which means I offer my condolences. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'll see you next time. Bye.